Hello everyone, I'm Rob the Robot from the Adobe Education team, and I would like to welcome you to the Inject Creativity Live Show. This is an online show for educators interested in digital creativity. This show is live on the Adobe for Education YouTube channel, as well as other social media, and past recordings can be viewed via bit.ly/Adobe-Inject. Any teacher, whether an Adobe user or not, in any K-12 or higher education sector and any subject area is welcome. Here are your hosts, Dr. Tim Kitchen and Erin Raithke.
Thank you very much, Rob. Hello, Erin, and welcome everyone to the Inject Creativity Live Show.
Hi, Tim, and a special welcome to everyone who's joined us this Wednesday, the 17th of February, 2021, via the YouTube Adobe for Education channel, as well as the Australasian Adobe and Education Facebook group. We encourage you to say hi and tell us where you're listening to us from in the live chat.
During each of these episodes, we want to respect and honour Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders past, present and future, as well as all Indigenous peoples from the lands we reach out to during this event.
We acknowledge their stories, traditions and living cultures. We acknowledge them as the first peoples in our lands, the first scientists and the first creatives, and we commit to building a brighter future together.
During this episode, our special Adobe Education Leader guest is Jason Lane from Brisbane.
And our education thought leader for this episode is the amazing Dan Hassler, who's the Director of Cut-Through Coaching and Consulting.
Before we hear from our guests, let's see who has joined us live for this show so far.
And while Tim's looking at that, note that we're getting the chat feed from those of you on Facebook, LinkedIn and YouTube, but not always from Twitter. So if you're joining us from Twitter and you'd like your comments, questions and your answers to the coming quiz question posted and published by us during the chat show, please jump out of Twitter and into the Adobe for Education YouTube channel at youtube.com/Adobe for Education.
Well, we can see that John, who's a regular on the show from Toowoomba, is saying hello to everyone. It's great to have you with us again, John. Thanks for joining us. And we've got a bunch of other people who have joined us, but they're being a little bit tentative in terms of throwing in their comments. Let me encourage you to keep throwing in your comments, questions and chats. We will be gathering together for our fireside chat to have a more in-depth discussion. But until then, just fire away whatever you'd like to say. Greetings. Here's Bronwyn from Sydney, from Macquarie University, saying hello to everyone. So we've got John and Bronwyn who've been brave enough. Let's see who else is going to be brave enough to share their greetings from wherever they are.
Tim, I just noticed monitoring on YouTube that it says that comments are turned off.
Oh, that's interesting. And
so,
yet already.
Yeah, we've already got something from John from YouTube, which is really weird. I wonder what that is all about.
And Bronwyn as well. And here comes Jude from Christchurch in New Zealand. Welcome, Jude. Jude, I'm not sure I've met you before, so doubly welcome to you. And please hang around to our fireside chat so we can get to know you a bit better. So thank you for joining us. And Kim is from Malvern College in Tungdo. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, Kim. Maybe you can give us a bit more information about where Tungo is, or however you pronounce it. Maybe spell it phonetically for us. And Double Chook, g'day from Darwin. G'day, Double Chook. Nice of you to join us all the way from Darwin. All right. Let's welcome our friend and Inject Creativity Live moderator, Jerry Wong. Jerry, how are you, sir?
Hey, Jerry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this new series of Inject Creativity Live shows. I will be looking out for your comments and questions in the chat, and I'll be posting the most relevant ones. Now, to kick this off, I have a quiz question for you. Name the Adobe application that allows you to animate 3D characters for games and film.
Well, there's a challenge for you. So I'm looking back in the comments now to see what sort of responses we get. We've got a few more people saying hello. Double Chook's coming from China, it looks like. So welcome. And Kim is saying it's pronounced Qingdao. There you go. Chingdao, thank you very much. And Roland from the Philippines, he's a regular. He's saying hello to us. Thank you, Roland. It's lovely to connect with you again. And
Roland.
Yep. Hey, Roland. And I noticed, we've got a few responses coming in for the quiz question. Now, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I did get it correct after my very sad attempt last week where I got it really, really wrong.
Tell me, John's saying the answer is character animator. Erin, what do you think?
Well, I think maybe the key there is in Jerry's question, he talked about 3D character animation. And
character animator is 2D. So sorry, John, not this time. Timothy Cosgrove, all the way from Toronto, is telling us that it's 22 centimeters of snowfall in that part of the world. Wow. Boy, that's
I can't even imagine. Well, see, I've never seen snow being a Queensland girl, so I can't even imagine 22 centimeters of it. That's like be up to my knees, being a little shorty.
Bronwyn thinks it's character animator too. Sorry, Bronwyn. Jude thinks it's After Effects. No, sorry.
3D, guys.
We've got an answer. We have got a correct answer.
And well done, Shaloni. If I had my sound effects ready, I'd use
round of applause.
There's a big round of applause. We've had a few technical hiccups, which is why I haven't got my sound effects working. So well done, Shaloni. Mixamo is the correct answer. Now, Shaloni, to get your prize, you do need to email me, and you know my email address, so I don't need to publish it. If you want me to, I will in the fireside chat, but email me to remind me that you are our winner. And what you're winning today, Shaloni, is something rather special. It's Dan Hassler's current book, School of Thought, and that's a wonderful prize to get. And Dan Hassler's one of our guests today, so you'll be getting to know a little bit more about him. Thank you, everyone else who's entered with lots of different answers. John's finally said Mixano. Well done, John.
Sorry, John, you weren't quite quick enough.
And Shaloni's very excited by her prize, as she's saying, yeah, well done. Ben's still going. Ben from the border of New South Wales and Victoria, he's still going. No, sorry, it's not Fuse. You're close. But no, Mixamo is definitely the answer, and Shaloni looks like she's very happy with that. So well done. That's good.
Absolutely. I love Mixamo. My favorite is the capoeira movement. It's very dynamic. It's great fun to play with.
Well worth looking at. Let's welcome our two guests for this episode. Jerry, can you bring them up onto the screen for us? Welcome, Jason, and welcome, Dan. Let's see if we can bring... There's Jason. He's up on the screen, and there's Dan. Give them a nice warm welcome. That's a big
evening, everyone.
Good
evening.
No sound effects there. Hey, Jason, let's start with you. Can you tell us about what you teach and where you teach?
Yep, sure, Tim. So I teach design and technologies curriculum. I'm mainly teaching in a middle school section at the moment, and I teach at Villanova College, which is a boys' school of about 1,300 students in Brisbane, just close to the Gabba, if you're ever up Brisbane way. So, yeah, very busy boys' school. And, yeah, I'm enjoying teaching design. I've had lots of different gigs as a teacher, starting out with visual art and English, and I've kind of moved through a very creative curriculum, you could say. But I'm thoroughly enjoying myself teaching design at the moment.
Wonderful.
Terrific.
Thanks.
Erin.
And Dan, tell us about your education background and the work you're currently doing as Director of Cut Through Coaching and Consulting.
Yeah, thank you. I was a teacher for around about 15 years. I was a high school PE teacher in England and also in Australia here. And then it's quite a while ago now, probably about 10 years or so ago, I got a scholarship off the government to look at the things we're going to talk about in my little section at the end around engagement, well-being, mindset, and that sort of catapulted me into a completely different direction where now I spend a lot of time working in education, helping people understand and really dig into motivation, mindset, well-being, leadership, that kind of thing, but also find myself working with elite athletes, corporate organizations, even a couple of world champions actually, which is quite interesting and something I never thought I'd do. But I reckon I met Shaloni at an Adobe event in Bali, I think. So I hope you enjoy the book, Shaloni.
You did, Shalani, and
It'd be very
you were.
embarrassing if it's not, but I think it was.
No, it is. You're absolutely spot on there, Dan. Well done. We flew up Shalani, we flew you up as well to that event, and that was a great event. So it's nice to connect you both together again.
Absolutely.
Dan, I've known you for a number of years now. Really, really impressed with the work that you're doing and the progression that you've made from being a school teacher to doing what you're doing now with your consulting work. And particularly proud of you when over those EduTech conferences that I'm sure a number of people have been to, and seeing you on stage there with people like Sir Ken Robinson. It's just wonderful that the opportunities that you've had.
Absolutely, yeah. Very, very fortunate.
So Jason, tell us what being an Adobe education leader actually means to you.
It means a great deal, Tim. It gives me opportunities like this to be in the same virtual room as Dan, and with all these other wonderful educators and people who inspire me. Dan, I have heard you speak before at conferences, and I'm looking forward to what you have to say tonight. And being an Adobe education leader gives me access to you like this, and also access to a great network of teachers around Australia. I love our Facebook group. I do get prompted to push myself further. I've been teaching for about 25 years, and I like to think that I'm progressive, but I always see examples of other great practice and innovation, and that drives me, onwards and makes me keep trying to find ways to, engage students and to connect with educators like myself.
Good.
And that's actually an excellent segue into my next question for you, Dan, which is, can you give us a teaser about what you'll be sharing with us later tonight?
Yes, I think I can. I'm going to be talking about what I and my team conceptualize as the single most important factor when it comes to engagement. So in this case, student engagement, but it's equally important whether we're talking about engagement and motivation of adults. I'm going to start with this idea of, if we don't get this right, then so many more of our efforts are going to be limited in the impact that they have.
All right, thank you very much, guys. And Erin, we might just say goodbye to our two guests temporarily. They'll be back a little bit later. We've got a few other things to share with you before they come back. So, Erin, are you ready for what's coming up next? The Spark Challenge intro?
Well, folks, I hope you're ready for this week's Spark Challenge.
Thanks, Rob. We're doing the Spark Challenge slightly differently this year. Instead of telling you what type of Spark product we are wanting you to produce something from, we're encouraging you to choose your favorite Spark tool and make a short production that highlights something that you've enjoyed or learned during this episode.
When you've published your Spark page, your Spark post, or your Spark video, be prepared to share what you've created after the show at our fireside chat via Blue Jeans, and we'll have the link up for you later. Erin, Jerry, Jason, Dan, and I will choose the winner, not based on the first in, but on the one that is the most informative and creative.
Good luck, everyone, and let's get creative.
All right, now, if you're looking for some great tips and tricks that with Adobe Spark, I'd like to recommend that you have a look at Erin's new live show titled Create, Share, Learn, Live. Erin, I loved your first episode where you demonstrated a great use of Spark Post on iOS, and you shared what you actually didn't have time to share during our last show.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. It was my first solo live stream, so it was great fun. It went really smoothly. Planning the next one, I'm thinking of either making them monthly or fortnightly, depending on how inspired I am. Speaking of inspiration, I am thinking for the next episode of comparing and contrasting what you can do to create a very simple short presentation like the intro credits to Create, Share, Learn Live, using Spark Video and then Premiere Rush, and then just looking at what variable outputs you get from it. So if you like that idea, pop a comment in the chat during this show.
Now, be honest with me, Erin, did you miss me while you were doing it?
It was very strange to not have my Jerry and my Tim to do a live stream with. It was that cognitive dissonance where I'm sort of making sure I'm doing all the controls and doing the presenting and having everything teed up. But it was a great challenge. It's good for the brain to flex it in a different way.
Well, you did a great job, and Erin, I'm going to recommend everyone joins your Twitter or follows you on Twitter, because that's probably the best way to find out when the next episode's coming, when it's launched, and so on. So follow Erin on Twitter to keep in touch with her new initiatives. Last Wednesday, EduTech and Adobe collaborated on a special webinar titled Creativity for All, Together for Student Success.
Over 650 teachers registered for this webinar from across the Australasian region.
The event began with a welcome from Wayne Weiss, Adobe's Director of Digital Media for ANZ.
Our very own Dr. Tim Kitchen then shared a thought leadership session about the importance of encouraging creativity in education.
The highlight, well, particularly for me, was three amazing panelists: Deb Hicks from the Victorian Department of Education and Training, Joe Cohen, whom many of you know from the New South Wales Department of Education, and Adobe Education Leader, who many of you know as well, Lauren Sayer from Melbourne Girls Grammar School.
The content and insights from these panelists were outstanding and well worth a watch.
Now, to see the recording of this webinar, and I do recommend you sit yourself down, it's about 50 minutes all up in total. Try and find that time if you can in the next week or two. But you do need to access it through bit.ly/adobe-edutech-feb20. Click the Watch on Demand button. You will be encouraged to register and also log into a Zoom account. I know it's a bit complicated, but that's the way that EduTech wanted at the moment.
Hey, and I did it myself, and it steps you through the process pretty smoothly, so it was all good.
Terrific.
So another event last week that's well worth watching was the Adobe Creative Educator live show on the Adobe for Education YouTube channel, hosted by Clara Galan and Tanya Avrith from the Global Adobe in Education team.
Last week's episode featured US rapper and actor Christopher Brian Bridges, known professionally as Ludacris, and two of his daughters.
Ludacris is probably best known internationally for his role as Tej Parker in the Fast and Furious movie franchise.
Ludacris has a site for kids called Kid Nation, which is well worth exploring. And during the show, Tanya created a quick Spark video with his daughters, which was a very, very cute, and it showed how effective Spark video can be used to help engage very young people and share their voices.
Adobe Creative Educator Live is usually very early in the morning on a Thursday for us, but the recordings are available on the Adobe for Education YouTube channel.
And I'll tell you what, Erin, I was pretty excited. Well, actually, Clara, she mentioned that this was going to happen on our last show, and so I was keen to have a look at it. I didn't really know who Ludacris was until I looked him up on Wikipedia. He's famous, like Fast and Furious. I've seen most of those, but probably all of them actually, and I know exactly who he is. He's one of the stars.
I haven't. I'm not a Fast and Furious gal at all, but I had heard of Ludacris. I just didn't put two and two together. I did watch not my bag, but it's very, very cool. And she was so excited.
Yeah, well, it was exciting. Clara was excited too. The Kid Nation site, I had a bit of a look around that too, and so many great uses of Adobe products actually to put together his videos and his music and to work with kids. A really creative site and just another way of getting inspiration for teachers in the classroom. Hey, we've got some other special news, Erin. And I don't know if he's watching us live at the moment. Sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't. Sometimes he just watches the recording. In fact,
there's a pretty good reason not to be watching us live right now, though.
Don't blame him for not watching us live because it's probably bath time right now. Special congratulations to Adobe Education Leader and regular contributor to this show, Stephen Colbert, and his wife, Jemmy, for the birth of their he's calling it their first live-in student. It's a child, Stephen. It's your baby.
Yeah.
It's your child. So Felix with a K, I think, is the name. Congratulations, Stephen. Sorry, I haven't got the sound effects
Round
here.
of applause.
Very warm round of applause.
I can practically smell that little baby head from here.
Well, I think it's probably the ultimate form of creativity, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, and yeah, look at that little person. Just gorgeous. Congratulations, Stephen.
All right, we're about to start with Jason, but we can't without the intro. So here is our intro, and Jason, you'll be up very soon.
Hi folks, we are about to be inspired by an AEL, an Adobe Education Leader. AELs are passionate about the use of Adobe tools to inspire creative learning and teaching experiences in the delivery of either primary, secondary or post-secondary curricula. The first step to becoming an AEL is to be an ACE, an Adobe Creative Educator, via edx.adobe.com/Adobe-Creative-Educator. You don't have to be an Adobe expert to be an ACE, just a teacher interested in engaging students through creative digital learning experiences. The ACE program is a free international micro-credentialing program. It only takes a few hours to earn your level 1 badge, and the focus is on creativity rather than Adobe. Please share this program with your colleagues and get involved. Who knows, you may one day also become an Adobe Education Leader.
Like Jason Lane. So, Jason, it's a delight to welcome you back to this show.
So, Jason is an Adobe. Oh, yep. Jason's an Adobe Education Leader as well as a Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert. Got it out. Yay. And
Nice.
His combination of Adobe and Microsoft products is always a highlight to see and learn from. Over to you, Jason.
Okay, thanks, Erin, and thanks, Tim, and good evening, everyone. What I was going to show you in my segment is just what I've been playing with and developing a bit of a workflow for over a period of time now. I love the creativity of Adobe Spark, and also in my school and in my role, and with my other hat, I do have a lot to do with Microsoft, the Australian education branch of that. So what I was going to show you tonight is a few different ways that you can take content from Spark and you can embed different versions of that content into the Office 365 platform. So what I was going to do is kind of take you on a bit of a journey through there. So what I've got here, rather than kind of showing you a full presentation, you can see how I've constructed this Spark page, bare bones and all. So I've called this Spark Meet Office. And for those of you who are not familiar with OneNote or might have heard of it, but don't have a strong background having used this product before, it has been around for quite some time, but it probably hasn't had as much reach or impact in education until perhaps the last 5 or so years, when class notebooks came along. And class notebooks was a way to kind of combine different versions of notes, whether they be teacher notes or class content, with student sections, and a way to kind of connect how teachers and students work together in classrooms through the OneNote platform. OneNote, for many teachers, has become a digital classroom of sorts, and certainly with what happened last year, the ability to teach remotely and in hybrid learning forms through OneNote has been very beneficial. I've noticed in my own school it's great for teachers to collaborate together, to share content and to share resources. And I guess what really comes to the fore for me is how we present our content, and that's where I think Spark is a great way for us to really give our content a creative edge and make it stand out against other examples. There's nothing worse than seeing boring pages of headings and content text throughout when we're using OneNote a lot. So that's where I like to throw in some Spark creativity and keep things moving. So moving on, there's lots of different things that you can import when you are working with OneNote, and I'm here to show you about Spark. So the first thing you need to do is to obviously make something. And what I love about Spark, and no doubt a lot of people would agree with me, is there's so many templates that speed up that creative process. Just yesterday, as I said, I'm a design teacher. I was trying to teach students in Year 9 what isometric drawing means and how to draw cubes. And the students have a very strong knowledge and background in visual in gaming and visual art and things like Minecraft. And so I pulled out good old Steve. So Steve is the main character, or one of the main characters in Minecraft. And suddenly they got it. And to kind of embed that even further, I managed to find this graphic that was just sitting in the Spark Post library. So I took that out of the library and I remixed it myself, as many of us do. And I simply substituted the words in the middle to include what I was teaching them, that isometric means equal and measure. And we kind of went on from there. So first of all, I made this. I didn't do much to it, to be very honest, so I can't take credit for what you're looking at there. It's fantastic as it is. And from there, what did I do? Second step was to go up into the top right-hand corner of the Spark interface, and you click the share button and then you click publish. Going on from there, you've got quite a few share options, and I'm going to try to show you also Teams, because we're starting to use Teams as many schools around Australia are doing presently. But to bring it into OneNote, you simply click, not the email, you click the link button to the next. Apologies about that screenshot. And you copy that link. The rest of it's pretty straightforward. You simply go into OneNote and you paste the link onto the page. And after a moment or so, it will gather the information from that page or post and it will dump it directly onto the OneNote page, as you can see here in this screenshot. One thing I recommend you do, though, is that it's good practice if you add some of your own text or information to this process of embedding it, because you'll simply end up with a link and a picture. So once the content is there, I think as an educator, you've got to go a bit further. You've got to add some cues and some context. And so once the content is there, obviously you'll be wrapping a lesson or perhaps some other concepts around it. So that's how simple the process is. If I go back and do a quick review, you make it, you hit share and publish, and from there you get the link, you paste it straight onto your OneNote page, and within a short space of time that will convert itself to a graphic. And then you can, of course, add some context and perhaps some learning intentions around it. What's also really good, if you see here, this is the same page half an hour later. So if you do make changes to your Spark posts, then they will update automatically in OneNote because it's an embedded viewport. So whatever the document looks like in Spark, it will update and refresh the screenshot inside OneNote. So it's good. It means that if you want to, you can just continue to work on your content in Spark, and then you will know that as long as that embed code sits on your OneNote page, the content will refresh itself, not instantly, but it will happen within a short space of time, perhaps 15 to 30 minutes. And the students will always be looking at a live version of what you've done there. So that's particularly helpful if you're working not so much with static pages, but perhaps with the Spark pages themselves, not so much posts. So if I can give you a quick example of that, I don't normally work in the browser, but I'm trying to keep my shared screen open. Normally I'd be going in and out of the desktop apps, which I prefer to work with Microsoft. So I'm just going to be going between these tabs, and hopefully these will stay active. So this here is an example of a week planner. So it's a weekly planner. Say I want to make it my week 4 planner for my class. There we go. And I could go ahead and I could add content into those boxes. I'm sure that we've all played with Spark before, and I can change colors depending on the color scheme of my class, or I guess how I'm feeling on the day. And then from there we go into share. It will update what we've done, and I go into publish. And as I said, it's this button here. We hit the link button. It will update the link because, of course, my graphic has changed from the original color to this one. So we'll just wait for that to resolve itself. And then finally, I'll be given a link. And that link, if I just kind of work, here it is. So here's our link, copied, as you can see there. And if I now jump into just my web version of OneNote, again, I don't typically work here. I prefer the app itself. All I'm going to do is, using what was stored in the clipboard, I'm just going to go Control-V and hit Enter. And you can see how it's caught the title from there, and you can see how it's also embedded within a fairly small viewport because of the fact that I'm working in a web browser. It has given me that entire file. If I was to go back into my document and make further changes, I won't do it now for the sake of time, then that document would, of course, update in the viewport in our embed screen here. So that's one way that you can work there. And if I just give you a little aside, this here is an example of Microsoft Teams. And what I've done here is I have gone with a slightly different workflow. I've gone into Share once again, and I've gone into Publish. But I've gone not so much through the link, I've gone through the Teams opportunity to share. And when you do that, you get this alternative interface. It will first of all see which teams you are a member of. And I really like this in the fact that it asks me to search for channels. So I'll just search for MIE as an example, MIE trainers. And I can just leave that as it is for now, but of course I could add further text to this example. And when I hit share,
sorry, Jason,
link has been shared.
Sorry, seeing the.
Oh, you're not seeing the overlays. Okay.
Yeah, the overlays.
Thanks,
there.
Tim. I do have that in my presentation. So what I'll do here is just jump into Teams. Can you see Teams, Tim? Can you see this up now?
Yep, no problem.
Great. Okay, so as you can see, I've just posted that now, and I've been able to, and that's come up instantly into the channel that I've sent it into. Now from here, I would recommend that we add a bit more context, just as I'm saying you should do that in OneNote, and you can go into the three dots or the ellipsis and edit, and having done that, we can go down and add a subject, and I'll call this Adobe Spark Embed Example, and I'll click on the tick. And so you can see how we're able to, once we get it into Teams, we can again, add some further context to it. But the ability to take it instantly from one platform into another, and for this to happen across two platforms that really do complement each other, I think is a fantastic thing. If I go here back into my Spark demo, the one that I just dropped in here, there is another way to work with content that comes out of our Spark creations. And so if I go back here again, and if I go download, and I download as a PNG with a solid color background, what you might prefer to do if you want to have a bit more control over the layout of your Spark content in OneNote is you could, I'll jump up to this example, you can insert your picture, as I've done here, as an image. So that would be going through the Insert Picture from File option in OneNote. And having done that, you can't do it in the web browser, but if you right-click on the picture in the desktop app, it gives you this option, which is to set picture as the background. Why is that good? Because then I can simply create more of a plan that sits on the top of my Spark document. So I guess this is one way to edit in OneNote and to create content or templates in Spark. And that's something that I'm starting to prefer, I guess, as a bit of a workflow. I create the backgrounds, the templates, like my weekly planner in Spark, and I embed them as pictures, as you can see here. I set the picture to a background, and what that lets me do in OneNote is to type on top of that picture. It sits under the page. And so that's a really unique way of making my content stand out from my colleagues' content at work, which I'm very passionate about. So that's my preferred workflow. If I take a step back based on what you said, Tim, I hope I've got time. I've covered these steps in twice, I think, so far. The fact that you make something, you share, and you hit publish. You grab the link and that you paste it onto the page. What I did when I shared to Teams, as you should have seen me click on the Teams link there, or the Teams button. And having done that, this is the screen that you may have missed, where I had the opportunity to share to Microsoft Teams, and it said, do I want to share to a channel or create an assignment? I chose to share it to a channel, and I typed in this message and hit the share button. And that then gave me the confirmation message, and this is what it looks like in Teams. So apologies there if some screens were lost in the screen sharing, but that was how simple the Teams workflow is as well, which is quite a new feature. So that is how I use OneNote and Teams alongside Spark. And my final point would be, you need to, I guess, start with the end in mind. And by that I mean, if you are working with something like a planner document, this may not be the best way to embed the content. And that's why I wanted to show you that you could just simply download the picture, insert it into a OneNote page, as you can see here. And in doing that, when you set the picture as the background, you can type straight on top of it. So this works for this type of content. When it comes to the other example being, sorry, I'll wait for my screen to come up. Good old isometric Steve here. Because it's a static picture and I may like to change the appearance of this, then I think that's a good example where you might want to embed the picture and leave the live viewport sitting on your OneNote page instead. But it's good that you've got a few options there that can tie into the way that you want to work and the way that you want to engage students with content that looks as fantastic as the Spark content does.
Well done,
Thank
Jason.
you so much, Jason. Yeah,
Getting
it's
some-
a really...
Sorry. There, now we, yeah, so people have been commenting in the background there and really appreciative of your efforts there, mate.
Yeah, a great demonstration of design thinking. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my pleasure.
And I particularly love the blending of some of the best of Microsoft with some of the best of Adobe, some of the most accessible of Adobe and some of the best of Microsoft, and it's terrific because
wonderful mesh of collaborative tools.
And all of those tools are available to so many teachers and students out there. Let's make the use of them and let's be creative.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more.
Thank you so much, Jason. Appreciate your time, and we'll catch up with you in the fireside chat later. If you've got any other questions for him, if you want to ask him anything specific, he will be able to give you some time then. Just noticed an interesting comment here from my friend Gary Polton, who's one of only 2 Adobe Education Leader Emeritus, like the highest level of our leadership program. He says, Tim, no pun intended, but why is it whenever you're on, I'm always in the kitchen cooking? Thanks very much, Gary. I thought those jokes were gone when I left primary school, but that's all right, you know. It's all good. So thanks very much. It's great to have you here. And who else have we got? Karen here saying hello. Thank you for some wonderful ideas. And Bronwyn from Macquarie University. Great, Jess. I'm happy to try this as schools are using Teams now. So thank you very much. Very good. All right. We'll say goodbye to Jason for the moment and just let everyone know that Jason is not only an Adobe Education Leader, he's also part of the Adobe Creative Educator, the ACE program. And to become a level 1 ACE, you need to complete the Creativity for All course on the Adobe Education Exchange.
You can do the Creativity for All course online and on demand at any time using the Adobe Education Exchange. But if you prefer to do the course with input and assistance from Dr. Tim Kitchen and others, the Be a Creative Educator course may be perfect for you.
The next opportunity to do the Be a Creative Educator course is on Thursday, the 11th of March, or if you prefer to wait for the school holidays, where you may have some more free time, another opportunity will be Tuesday, the 13th of April. Register via bit.ly/adobe-edu-creative.
You'll hear from expert educators and researchers, including those from the global Adobe and Education team. They'll help you transform learning experiences to foster and support student creativity in any content area.
This is a great way to get started with the Adobe Creative Educator program. Otherwise, as we said earlier, you can do the course on your own, on demand, at your own pace, via the following URL, edx.adobe.com/creative-educator, Adobe-creative-educator. Then scroll down, find the Start Level 1 button, and this will open the Creativity for All course, and then click Enroll Now.
Please keep in mind, you don't need to know anything about Adobe or Adobe programs to start the course. In fact, it is designed for teachers who are new to the world of Adobe and education. So please share the value of the Adobe Education program to your colleagues and wider education networks.
All right, I think we'll skip the video we were about to play. If you want to see a video about this, you can go to the Creativity for All course. It's the first video that is on that particular site. Erin, can you tell us about the new Get to Know Your Adobe Apps webinar series?
Sure thing. Starting on February 23, the Adobe and Education team will be running a new series of webinars that will target specific education levels and Adobe applications.
I was just looking at some of the comments there. I was slightly distracted and just noted that Karen was keen to get the links. So Karen will be bringing those links back again if you've missed them into the fireside chat. So stay and hang around for that, and we'll make sure you get access to them. So we're labeling these new webinar series the Get to Know Your Adobe Apps, and we have one set of sessions for upper primary, one for and lower secondary teachers, one for senior secondary teachers,
and a set of sessions especially for those involved in post-secondary education, just like me. Presenters will include Dr. Tim Kitchen, Adobe's amazing solution consultants, and Adobe education leaders. Use this QR code or link to find out more and register your interest. And also, please share these events with your colleagues and wider education networks.
Just noticed Karen's put another comment here, which is very poignant. Thank heavens you don't need to know anything.
That's the thing. Everyone has to start somewhere, right? We don't want to make the entry learning curve too steep.
The first of each of these sessions is actually an overview of a number of Adobe applications. Then we'll survey the audience to see what they would prefer in terms of a more comprehensive, deeper dive for the following two sessions.
So each of these sessions will go for about 90 minutes, starting at 4:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Time, and then repeat the next day or soon after at 6:30 p.m. to cater for the Western states, Southeast Asia, and anyone who couldn't make the 4:30 p.m. session. Just keep an eye out on that daylight saving for our Queensland compatriots, and get involved and share these sessions with your colleagues.
Now, Macquarie University, Venture Cafe Sydney and Adobe are collaborating on a special project to create the world's longest digital mural to help celebrate Earth Day on April the 22nd.
This project needs the help of you and your students, as well as the use of the wonderful free Adobe Fresco drawing and painting app. This video explains more.
Attention all creatives, young and not so young. To help celebrate Earth Day, which this year is on Thursday the 22nd of April, Adobe, Macquarie University and Venture Cafe Sydney are collaborating to create the longest digital mural in the world, and we need your help. If you have an iPhone or iPad with iOS version 13 or later, download the free version of the Adobe Fresco app via the Apple App Store. It's also available on recent Windows 10 touch devices. Adobe Fresco is a free and simple to use digital drawing and painting tool. You can sketch with a range of digital pencils and pens and paint with watercolors, oil paint, and even charcoal. Just like Photoshop, you can work with multiple layers and insert your own images. There is no limit to what you can create with Adobe Fresco. For the Earth Day mural, work with Adobe Fresco to base a creation on an environmental theme and share your climate literacy with a global audience. Some great tutorials on Adobe Fresco are available at the Adobe Help Center via helpx.adobe.com/fresco/tutorials.html. More information about how and when to submit your mural contribution and other Earth Day celebrations with Venture Cafe and Macquarie University can be found via bit.ly/earthday21. It's going to be a great initiative. In fact, Dr. Bronwyn Wade-Leeuwen, who's watching this show live at the moment, has already contributed. She might be able to tell us a bit more about this project during the fireside chat. We will be interviewing her in April for the episode before Earth Day as a special part of that show. Hey, we'd like to draw your attention to Adobe's Back to School Kickstarter resources.
So go to bit.ly/Kickstarter-21 to access 6 outstanding teacher resources that can be used in a range of curriculum areas. Here's a short video that explains
Actually,
more.
Erin, we probably haven't got time to play that video.
Yeah.
We played it last episode, so if you want to look back and see it then, that'll be good. Otherwise, you can just jump into that link and you'll see the video there as well. I think it's now time to introduce our thought leader.
Hi folks. Well, it's now time to welcome our education thought leader for their 5-minute gem to inspire us and make us think more deeply about the importance of our role as educators.
And of course, our thought leader for this episode of Inject Creativity Live is none other than the amazing Dan Hassler.
Yes, the thinking man pose was perfect, by the way, Dan. So Dan is the author of the book School of Thought, and he is the director of Cut-Through Coaching and Consulting.
Dan is a coach who works with elite athletes and teams, as well as corporate leaders and educators. Dan's work centers on happier, healthier, and higher performance.
He's an international keynote speaker and has shared the stage with the late, great Sir Ken Robinson on numerous occasions. He regularly presents alongside industry leaders on topics of leadership, mindset, motivation, and peak performance.
I've had the pleasure of being on stage with Dan in different parts of the globe several times and count him as a great professional friend and colleague. One fact that is little known is that before moving to Australia, Dan was also once identified on national television as the UK's worst housemate.
Correct.
How's that for an intro?
That'll do me. Thank you very much. The 5-minute gem. I didn't read the bit that had to be a gem. The pressure's on. I am hoping for a little bit of audience participation here via the chat box. And I've said in my teaser at the start, I want to share with you what my team and I conceptualize as the single most important foundational aspects of what's needed if we want to engage our students, or if we're a leader and we want to engage our team, whatever it might be. Without this particular thing, it's really important. So it's really hard to do. So if we could just bring up the slide there. Thank you very much. Every year in New South Wales, and I appreciate looking at the chat box, we don't actually have too many people from New South Wales. But what I would like you to do is, as you're reading this, and I'd like you to basically do my job for me. I would like you to, in the chat box, tell me what title I forgot to put on this graph. So I want you, as you're looking at this, to see, well, what is it that around 80% of Year 5 students report, and how does that then play out when we go to high school and we separate it then into male and female students, and males report something at a higher level than females. And while you're putting a title on that, just to give you the context of where this graph comes from, every year in New South Wales, all the public schools are invited to take part in what's called the Tell Them From Me survey. And they ask students to basically respond to questions that want to explore their experiences of education. And this is one of the graphs which the report puts out. And as I said in the chat box, what I'm hopeful is if we can start thinking about, well, what do you think that title might be? And I appreciate that, if I was in a class, this would be easier because I'd be able to draw people out straight away and say, what do you think? What do you think? But I'm interested to know what you do think. So whether you're sitting there not quite sure, it doesn't matter, just have a go. There's no issue with getting it wrong. It's a safe space.
We're finding it difficult to get responses live to air. It might be something that they'll connect with more in the fireside chat.
Yeah, no worries. Okay.
Just a suggestion there, Dan, if you wouldn't mind centering yourself a little bit so that when we jump to a different screen, you're not hidden by the graph. That'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks,
Is that better?
Oh, we've got a response here. Bubble and Pepper is saying
Bubble and
engagement.
Pepper. Bubble and Pepper wins the best name. Good one, LinkedIn user. Thank you. All right. So I'm sure there's probably a few things going through your mind. Some of the examples we get, obviously engagement is one, because you knew that's what I was going to talk about. People might talk about friendship, self-esteem, you name it. What this actually is, and I'll just head back to my graph, is the percentage of students that report having a positive sense of belonging at school. And so if you have a look at this graph, you might look at this and go, well, it's nothing like that at my school. Kids love it at my school. They're banging down the door to get in. This idea that less than 60% of Year 9 girls don't feel like they have a sense of belonging, that might be completely foreign to you because you're thinking, well, kids love it here. They're banging down the door in the morning to get in. We can't get rid of them at night, and it's not just because you're a boarding school. They genuinely love it there. But then other people will say, mate, it's nothing like that at our school. We could handle it if it was like that. Their ratings could be far lower. And the reason it's important just to consider this is that in our work, what we've found is that the shape of the graph is the same in every school. Obviously, the numbers might be different, but that actual shape is very different. And boys typically record higher levels of belonging than girls. Now, you might be thinking, well, why is this, who cares? I'm sure you do care because you're educators, but why is it so important? Well, it's important on two levels. Number one, I don't know how engaging all these apps are and all this technology is and the funky furniture that we might have. But what I do know is if a kid doesn't feel like they belong in your school or in your classroom, or they don't belong around you, then that's got to be one heck of an app. It's got to be one heck of a piece of funky furniture. So in terms of helping us do our job, that's pretty important. But I would say maybe even more important, but certainly equally important, is that a sense of belonging or sense of connectedness to school is an even stronger predictor of wellness and depression and even parental attachment. Now, I think this is particularly pertinent given what we've just been through 2020 and the way kids might be feeling at the moment. Is it safe at school? Do I feel that I can be myself there? Is there an adult that I can go to with a serious issue if there's a drama at home? So I'm curious as to how important this sense of belonging is for you. And if you consider what it does mean for you as a professional, but then also what it means as an educator. Because as I mentioned, I think without that, it's one of these things, because I just saw in the chat there, Bubble and Pepper's talking about relationships are pivotal, and absolutely they are. But what's interesting is we often only ever consider relationships as what are the teacher-student relationships like? And another way of thinking about it is, well, what's the student-teacher relationship like? And do we go and ask them as much as we might. The Tell Them From Me survey in New South Wales is a good start. It's hundreds of thousands of kids every year that we get this data from. But I think even more important, what's the data for the kids that you're working with? Do they feel able to be themselves here? Is there an adult that they can go to in your school if they have a serious issue that they want to talk about? And if no, what do you as a school do about that? Because the school, by the way, thinks they are doing something about that, because that's why we have year advisors, homeroom teachers. But that's more of an efficiency model than an answer to that question. Do you have an adult to whom you can go to with a serious issue? Who would you? And then the follow-on question is, who would you go to? And what we encourage at the schools we work with to do is survey the kids those 3 questions. And when you get the names, print out the names of the teachers who have come up and give them the list of kids who, for them, they are the touch points. Because in the busyness of school, sometimes, you know, we don't see what's right in front of us, which could be a kid asking for help. So I'm chatting on a couple more of these throughout the year. As I said, a sense of belonging for me and for the team and the work we do is absolutely foundational, or it's like the soil, if you like, that then we plant the seeds of the apps, the pedagogy, the whatever else we've got going on. But without that fertile soil of a sense of belonging, the impact they're going to have is limited.
So true, Dan. Thank you so much. And of course, as Dan just mentioned, this is the first of a series of 3 sessions that Dan's going to be doing throughout the year for us as our thought leader. So a round of applause from us. Thank you so much for sharing. And if you want to share, if you want to ask Dan anything specifically, he's going to hang around for a few minutes at the Fireside Chat Show, which is coming up very, very shortly. So thanks, Dan. We'll say goodbye to you now as we just finish off with a couple of quick announcements. If you are on Facebook and you're not already a member of the Australasian Adobe Education Community Facebook group, please join via facebook.com/groups/AUSAEL.
This is a great way to keep regularly involved with Adobe and education and the wider community.
Now, I am very much looking forward to our next Inject Creativity Live event, which will be happening on Wednesday, the 3rd of March at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
Our AEL presenter will be none other than Adobe Education Leader Emeritus Chris Betcher, who will be sharing some tips on Premiere Pro.
The other AEL Emeritus, there's only 2 in this whole region. And our thought leader will be our favourite New Zealand education consultant, who's been on the show many times and is a friend to many of you, Mr. Paul McLean.
For those watching the recording of this episode, join us live if you can in the future. It's always much more fun live. And get ready, for those of us watching live, to move over into bluejeans.com/kitchen.adobe for our fireside chat. And we will see you all in 2 weeks' time.
See you later, folks.
Well, folks, thank you so much for watching this episode of Inject Creativity Live. For those who are watching live, join us via bluejeans.com/kitchen.adobe for an informal, non-recorded fireside chat to meet and interact with our presenters, as well as complete the feedback form and apply for a professional development certificate. If you are not watching this live, join us live next time. Use this QR code or link to find out more about dates and topics. On behalf of Dr. Kitchen and Erin Raithke, don't forget to keep being creative.